The first thing I noticed wasn't her voice. It was the way she said my name, like she'd already decided something about me and wasn't in a hurry to explain it. By the time she added, "You're looking at me again, aren't you?" I was holding a rag that had stopped doing its job and pretending not to hear the quiet accusation wrapped inside a joke. I work maintenance at a small boutique hotel tucked between a coffee roastery and a closed-down theater. Nothing glamorous. Leaky sinks, scuffed baseboards, the slow war against dust. That afternoon, I was assigned to the third floor, polishing the brass handrails that guests liked to smudge with their fingers. The hallway smelled like lemon cleaner and old carpet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of your own breathing. She was standing in the doorway of 312 when I came around the corner, barefoot, holding a stack of folded towels against her chest. Mid-40s, maybe older, hair pulled back like she didn't need it to make a point. There was confidence there, but not loud. The kind that doesn't move out of the way unless it wants to. "Sorry," I said automatically, even though I wasn't blocking anything. She smiled, but her eyes stayed where they were. Observant. Patient. "You're fine." I was just waiting. Waiting for what? She didn't say. She shifted the towels from one arm to the other. I noticed the way she favored her right wrist, like it had a history. People carry stories in small habits. You just have to stand still long enough to see them. I went back to cleaning. Or tried to. The rag dragged slower than it should have. The handrail caught the light and reflected my face. Too young, I thought suddenly, for whatever was happening in that hallway. I felt it before I understood it. That subtle hum under the skin, like when a room changes temperature and you can't explain why. She watched me work for a moment. I could feel it. Then she cleared her throat, soft, almost polite. "You don't have to do that right now." "It's my shift," I said. Too quick. Like I was defending something. She tilted her head. "I know." A pause. "I just didn't want you to rush." I nodded, even though I hadn't been rushing at all. The silence stretched. The elevator dinged somewhere far away, reminding us we weren't alone, even if it felt like we were. I finished the rail and straightened up. That's when she said it, the line that landed heavier than it should have. "You're looking at me again, aren't you?" My face warmed. I opened my mouth, then closed it. The truth hovered there, unhelpful. She didn't look offended. If anything, she looked amused. Or maybe relieved. It was hard to tell. Her gaze softened, just a fraction, and she stepped aside to let me pass. As I did, our hands brushed. Accidental, brief, but deliberate enough that neither of us apologized. "Sorry," I said anyway. She laughed under her breath. "You say that a lot." I moved past her, heart doing something unfamiliar. At the end of the hall, I glanced back. She was still standing there, towels forgotten, watching me like she was trying to decide whether to close the door or leave it open. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was how she hadn't told me to stop looking. Only that she noticed. The second time wasn't an accident. I was fixing a loose hinge on the storage room door behind the front desk when she appeared beside me, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Something warm, understated, like clean skin and a memory I couldn't place. She didn't announce herself. Just stood there, arms crossed, watching the screwdriver turn in my hand like it might slip and tell on me. "Do you always take the long way around?" she asked. "Or is that just for me?" I smiled without looking up. "Depends who's watching." She huffed a quiet laugh. It surprised me how much that mattered. It sounded tired, like it didn't get used often. The lobby was empty except for us. Mid-afternoon lull. Sunlight slanted through the tall windows, dust hanging in the air like it had nowhere else to go. The old clock behind the desk ticked too loud, marking seconds neither of us seemed eager to claim. She leaned back against the counter, careful, like her body remembered old boundaries. Her blouse was slightly wrinkled near the shoulder, and I wondered if she'd slept poorly. I noticed the faint dark circle beneath one eye. Not weakness, just honesty. "You don't have to fix that now," she said, echoing herself from before. Then, softer, "It's been like that for weeks." I know. I tightened the last screw. But it bothered me. She studied me for a beat longer than necessary. "You're very attentive," she said, and the way she said it made the word feel heavier than a compliment. I shrugged, suddenly aware of my posture, the grease stain on my sleeve. "It's kind of my job." That's not what I meant. She looked away as soon as she said it, eyes drifting toward the front doors like she expected someone to walk in and catch us standing too close. There it was, the guard, slipping back into place. I packed up my tools, slower than usual. I didn't want to be the first to leave. When I straightened, she was rubbing her wrist absently, the same one from the hallway. I didn't ask. Some things ask not to be named. Long day, I said instead. She hesitated. Just a second. But I saw it. The flicker where something almost came out. They all are, she said finally, lips pressing together. Some more than others. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She didn't look at it right away. When she did, her shoulders dropped, just a little. Relief or disappointment. I couldn't tell which. I stepped back, giving her space I didn't want to give. I should, she cut in gently. Stay. Then corrected herself. I mean, just a second. She met my eyes again. Held them. The lobby felt smaller, like the air had learned our names. She smiled, not playful this time. Careful. Real. Thank you, she said. Not for the door. I nodded. As I walked away, I felt it. The pull of something I didn't understand yet. Only that it was quiet and insistent, and already asking more of me than I was ready to give. It was later than it should have been for us to still be there. The hotel had settled into that half-awake state. No arrivals expected. The night clerk flipping through channels behind the desk. Rain tapping against the tall windows like it was trying to get in without committing. I was supposed to clock out 10 minutes earlier, but a leak in the staff kitchenette had turned stubborn, and she insisted on staying until it stopped. You don't have to, I told her, crouched under the sink, fingers numb from cold water. I know, she said. But I am. The fluorescent light above us flickered once, then steadied. The room smelled like damp towels and old coffee. She leaned against the counter behind me, close enough that when I shifted, my shoulder brushed her thigh. Neither of us moved away. That felt like a decision, even if we didn't say it out loud. I twisted the valve, slower than necessary. You can sit, I said. I'm fine. A pause. I've been sitting all day. I pictured her like that. Meetings, phones ringing, people asking for things. When I stood up, I hit my head on the cabinet and swore quietly. She laughed, quick and genuine this time, then stopped herself like she'd remembered where she was. Are you okay? She asked, reaching out before thinking. Her hand hovered near my arm, then pulled back. Yeah, I said. Just clumsy. She studied me, eyes softer in the low light. You're not. The rain picked up outside, louder now, insistent. Thunder rolled somewhere distant. The building creaked in response, like it was adjusting its weight. She crossed her arms, then uncrossed them, then finally sat on the counter anyway. Close. Too close. There's something I should probably tell you, she said. My chest tightened. I stayed quiet. Let her have the space. She opened her mouth, then her phone buzzed. The sound cut through the room, sharp and unwelcome. She glanced at the screen and her face changed. Not panic, but something practiced. Old. I need to take this, she said, already stepping toward the door. I nodded, even though I wanted to say don't. She slipped into the hallway, voice low but not careful enough. I caught fragments. A name. A sigh. I told you, I can't do this right now. I stared at the drip under the sink, counting seconds between drops. When she came back, she didn't meet my eyes. Sorry, she said. That was someone from my past. You don't have to explain, I said. I meant it. And I didn't. She leaned against the counter again, farther away this time. I shouldn't be here this late, she said. Not moving. Probably not, I agreed. Silence settled between us. Thick, but not uncomfortable. Charged. She looked at me then, really looked, like she was measuring something fragile. I forget sometimes, she said quietly, what it's like to be seen without being needed. I swallowed. Yeah. She reached out, fingers brushing my wrist, light, uncertain. Just skin on skin. I didn't move, didn't pull away. For a second, I thought she might step closer. Instead, she let her hand fall, stood up straight, and said my name like it was a boundary. I watched her leave the room, rain still pounding the windows, my hand warm where she'd touched it, caught between following her and staying exactly where I was. We didn't plan the conversation. It happened the way storms do, after the air has already changed. It was early morning, the kind that still feels unfinished. The lobby lights were dimmed, night shift handing over to day, coffee brewing somewhere behind the desk. I was mopping near the windows, the floor still damp, when she came in from outside without her coat. Hair loose this time. Tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. She stopped a few steps away from me and just stood there. Watched the mop move back and forth like she was waiting for it to say something first. "You don't have to avoid me," she said. I paused. Let the mop rest against the bucket. "I wasn't." She nodded slowly. "You were." We held each other's gaze longer than was comfortable, longer than was safe. The lobby felt too big for how close we were standing. "I keep telling myself this is normal," she said. "That I'm reading into things because I'm exhausted. Because I don't have space for anything else." I said nothing. My hands tightened on the mop handle. "But then you look at me," she continued, voice low, careful, like you're listening to something I haven't said yet. That landed harder than any accusation. I looked away, focused on the wet floor, the way the light fractured across it. "I don't know what we're doing," she said. "And I don't like that I don't know." I finally met her eyes again. She wasn't angry. She was unsettled. That felt worse. "I'm not trying to make it complicated," I said. The words came out slower than I expected. I noticed things." She gave a small, humorless smile. "That's exactly the problem." Silence pressed in. A guest wheeled a suitcase across the lobby, the sound loud and intrusive. When it faded, we were still there, still suspended. She stepped closer. Not enough to touch. Enough that I could see the faint line near her mouth, the one that deepened when she frowned. "This can't be something," she said quietly. "Do you understand that?" I nodded. Too quickly. "Yeah. Because if it is," she went on, "then I've already failed at something I promised myself I wouldn't do again." I didn't ask what. I didn't need to. The weight in her voice said enough. "I don't want to hurt you," she said. Her eyes dropped to my hands, then back to my face. "And I don't trust myself not to." The mop slipped from my grip and hit the floor with a soft thud. I didn't pick it up. "I don't feel hurt," I said. "I just feel here." She inhaled sharply, like that wasn't the answer she'd prepared for. For a moment, it looked like she might reach for me. Instead, she took a step back. "That's what scares me," she said, barely above a whisper. The voicemail wasn't meant for me. I found it by accident while replacing a flickering bulb in her office. Her phone was on the desk, screen lit, a missed notification pulsing quietly like it didn't want attention. I didn't touch it. I wouldn't have. But as I stepped down from the chair, it played, maybe triggered by movement, maybe by timing. A voice filled the room before I could stop it. "I don't know why I'm calling," a man said. Older. Tired. I saw something today that made me think of you. I hope you're okay." It cut off. The silence afterward felt deliberate. She froze in the doorway. I turned, already apologizing, words piling up too fast. "I didn't mean to. I wasn't. It's fine," she said. Too quickly. Her face had gone still, like she'd locked something behind it. I stepped away from the desk, gave her space. The bulb hummed softly above us. Outside, traffic moved like nothing had changed. "That was my husband," she said. The word landed heavy, outdated and current at the same time. "Ex," she corrected after a beat. "Technically." I nodded. Didn't trust myself to say anything else. She walked in slowly, sat in the chair behind the desk like it anchored her. Her hands folded, then unfolded. She stared at the phone without touching it. "He calls sometimes," she said. "Not often. Just enough to remind me of who I used to be." I leaned against the wall. "Do you want me to?" "No." She looked up at me then. Really looked. "I want you to hear this." That surprised me more than the voicemail. "We were together 22 years, she said. "Since college." He knew every version of me. Or thought he did. A small, crooked smile. When it ended, it wasn't loud. No shouting. Just a lot of quiet decisions I didn't realize I was making. I pictured that kind of ending, slow, almost polite. It scared me more than a fight. "I stayed too long," she said. "And then I left too late. And now," she gestured vaguely, "now I don't trust myself around things that feel new." The word things hovered between us, fragile. I swallowed. "I don't feel new," I said before I could stop myself. Then, softer, I just feel present. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet but steady. That's the problem, she said. You remind me of someone I was before everything got heavy. And I don't know what to do with that. The bulb flickered once, then held. I don't expect anything, I said. I'm not asking. I know, she said. That's why this is hard. She stood, walked past me toward the door, then stopped. Her hand brushed my arm. Intentional this time. Brief, but grounding. Thank you, she said, for not trying to fix it. When she left, the room felt altered, like furniture had been moved while I wasn't looking. I stood there long after, realizing the shift wasn't what she'd revealed. It was that she'd let me hear it at all. Nothing dramatic happened after that. No confrontation. No sudden distance. Just a narrowing of space, like the world had decided to stop pretending for us. It was a Sunday evening, slower than usual. The hotel was half full, the kind of quiet that settles into corners. I was in the back lounge replacing a cracked tile when she came in and sat on the arm of the couch without asking if it was okay. She looked different, not lighter, not heavier, just resolved in a way that didn't need explaining. I'm not staying late, she said. I told myself I wouldn't. I nodded. Okay. She watched me work for a while. Didn't try to fill the silence. That felt important. When I finished, I didn't stand right away. My knees stayed bent, hands resting on my thighs. We were level like that. Honest. I don't want this to be a mistake, she said finally. I don't think it is, I said. Then corrected myself. I don't think it has to be. She smiled faintly. That's a careful answer. I'm trying to be. She looked down at her hands. They were steady. I keep waiting for you to want more than I can give. I thought about it. About all the things I wanted that I hadn't named. I just want to be here, I said. However that looks. That did something to her. I saw it in the way her shoulders dropped, like she'd been holding them up for years. She slid off the arm of the couch and sat beside me, close enough that our legs touched. No spark. No jolt. Just warmth. We stayed like that for a while. The air conditioner clicked on and off. Somewhere, a door closed softly. She leaned her head back against the cushion and exhaled. I don't feel rushed with you, she said. That scares me. I turned slightly, just enough to face her. Me too. She laughed quietly, then stopped. Her hand moved on its own, resting against mine. No squeezing. No test. Just contact. I didn't move my hand away. Didn't move it closer either. We let it be what it was. After a moment, she leaned forward until her forehead rested against my shoulder. I felt the weight of her there, real and trusting. My breath slowed to match hers. This doesn't fix anything, she said. I know, but it doesn't break it either. I swallowed. No. We sat like that until the lights dimmed automatically, the room settling into shadow. When she finally stood, she didn't step away right away, just stayed close, eyes searching my face like she was memorizing something she might need later. I'm choosing this, she said. Not loud. Not fragile. I nodded. Me too. She left without looking back. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Some things don't announce themselves when they arrive. They just sit down beside you and stay. I'm telling this from a quieter place now. Not because everything became simple, but because it stopped needing to be loud to feel real. Time moved on the way it always does. Shifts changed. Seasons did their thing. The hotel replaced its carpets. The lobby smelled different. The coffee machine finally stopped breaking every other week. From the outside, nothing remarkable happened. But inside me, something had shifted its weight and stayed there. I learned that love doesn't always arrive as a rush. Sometimes it shows up as restraint, as choosing not to take when you could, as sitting beside someone and letting the silence do the work neither of you can finish yet. She changed, too, though she'd probably argue with me if I said that out loud. She started leaving earlier some nights, laughing more easily, not because she was lighter, but because she stopped bracing for the fall before the ground was even there. I think she forgave herself for staying so long in a life that no longer fit. I think that mattered more than anything we shared. As for me, I stopped confusing intensity with meaning. I stopped believing that wanting something meant I had to claim it immediately or lose it forever. I learned that being chosen slowly is still being chosen. Sometimes more honestly. We never turned into a story you'd recognize from the outside. No grand gestures. No dramatic turning point where everything changed in one breath. What we had grew in the margins, between responsibilities, between fear and patience, between two people deciding not to run. And maybe that's what love is, when you strip it down. Not possession, not rescue, just recognition. I still remember small things more than big ones. The way her hand rested on mine like it trusted me not to disappear. The way she said my name when she meant stay. The way silence stopped feeling like absence when we shared it. Some connections don't burn. They warm. And they teach you how to stand closer to another person without losing yourself. If this story made you feel something, let me know in the comments. Would you want more stories like this?